This is the Movcan V40 electric bike. I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it. I've been riding it for regular errands, some commuting, and some let's see where this path goes kind of rides on gravel and rough pavement. The first thing I noticed when I started using it is that it feels closer to a small dirt-style e-bike than a normal bicycle. It's got that heavier, planted feel, and you can tell right away it's not built for carrying up apartment stairs every day. Setup was mostly painless, but it's not the kind of bike I'd rush through. Mine came mostly assembled, and I still had to take my time lining up the front wheel, making sure the brakes weren't rubbing, and getting the handlebar angle where I wanted it. I also had to do the usual after unboxing stuff like checking bolt tightness. Out of the box, it was rideable, but it rode better after I spent a little time dialing it in. If you've ever built up an e-bike from a box before, it's that level of effort. If you've never done it, you can still do it, just plan for a slower first afternoon. Power is the main reason people look at this one, so yeah, it moves. The motor on mine feels strong off the line, especially if you use the throttle. It'll jump forward more than a lot of the 500W or 750W commuter e-bikes I've tried, and that's been useful when I'm crossing a wide intersection or trying to merge into a faster street without feeling like I'm in the way. On hills, it doesn't get dramatic or bogged down the way weaker bikes do. I'm not saying it makes every climb effortless, but it's one of the few bikes I've ridden where I don't have to plan around hills as much. Speed-wise, it's fast enough that I found myself backing off just to stay comfortable, especially on rougher surfaces. The bike is stable, but once you start going quick, you also start paying attention to everything. Tire pressure, how clean the pavement is, how confident you feel with the suspension, and how much space you've got to stop. For me, it's not a top speed thing as much as it's a I like knowing I have power in reserve thing. Range has been solid, with the usual reality check that it depends on how you ride. If I'm using a lot of throttle and riding it like a mini electric motorcycle, the battery drops quicker than I expected the first time. If I use pedal assist and ride more calmly, it goes way farther. The removable battery has been one of the most practical parts for me because I can bring it inside and charge it without dragging the whole bike near an outlet. That also matters if you're locking the bike up somewhere. I feel better taking the battery with me. In daily use, the thing I've appreciated is how it handles rough ground. The fat tires and the dual suspension take the edge off potholes, broken pavement, and gravel paths. I won't pretend it feels like a full-on motorcycle suspension, but compared to a stiff commuter e-bike, it's a lot less jarring. I've ridden other fat tire e-bikes that feel bouncy or vague at speed, and this one feels more planted. It's still a heavy bike, so it doesn't flick around like a lightweight mountain bike. It's more like it likes to hold a line and just roll over stuff. Braking was something I worried about before buying, because a fast, heavy e-bike needs real stopping power. The hydraulic disc brakes on mine have been confident and predictable. I did need a little break-in period where the braking got stronger after some riding, and I had a small bit of rotor noise at the beginning that went away after I recentered the caliper. Once it was set up right, stopping felt controlled. On wet pavement, I still slow down earlier because physics is physics. But I'm not stuck doing that please stop squeeze you get with some cheaper mechanical setups. The riding position surprised me a bit. It has that slightly forward, sporty posture. I'm fine with it for shorter rides and commuting, but on longer rides I notice my wrists and lower back more than I do on upright step-through cruisers. If you like a relaxed, straight-up posture, you might not love the stock feel. It's not a deal-breaker, just something I felt after a couple longer sessions. Another real downside is the weight. This bike is not fun to lift. If you need to carry it upstairs, load it into a car regularly, or store it on a wall rack, that's going to get old fast. I can move it around a garage or driveway, no problem, but lifting it is where it reminds you what it is. When I needed to transport it, removing the battery helped a little, but it's still not light. I also noticed that pedaling without power is tough. That's true for most fat tire e-bikes, but it's worth saying out loud. If your battery dies far from home, you can pedal it, but it feels like you're pushing a heavy bike with a lot of rolling resistance. I ride with that in mind and try not to run the battery down to nothing. The display is straightforward. Speed, battery, assist level, that kind of thing. I like having it, and it's been readable outdoors. The lights are useful for being seen, and I actually use them more than I expected. The 7-speed gearing is fine for what this bike is. I'm not riding it like a road bike, but I do shift when I'm climbing, or when I want to pedal along with the assist instead of just sitting on throttle. Compared to other e-bikes I've used, I'd put it closer to the Super 73 style category in terms of feel, but this one leans more into suspension and all-terrain comfort. Compared to a basic commuter e-bike, it's heavier, faster, and more stable on rough surfaces, but it's also more bike to manage. You're trading easy carrying and easy pedaling for power and that planted ride. If you're considering it, the questions I'd ask yourself are pretty simple. Do you have a place to store a heavy bike? Are you okay doing some basic setup and occasional adjustments? Are you buying it because you want throttle power, hill climbing, and the ability to take rougher routes without getting rattled? If that's you, it makes sense. If what you really want is something light and easy that feels like a normal bicycle, I'd look at smaller commuter e-bikes instead. Who this is good for, in real life, is someone who wants a strong e-bike for commuting, errands, and weekend exploring, especially if your roads are rough or you've got dirt paths and gravel around you. It's also good if you're a bigger rider or you carry a backpack or gear and don't want the bike to feel strained. If you live in a walk-up apartment or you need to lift your bike daily, I'd think twice. Overall, I've enjoyed it. It's been reliable for the way I ride, it's fun without me having to pretend it's something it's not, and it's handled the mix of pavement, hills, and rough surfaces I deal with. If you've got questions about anything I didn't cover, drop them in the comments, and I'll tell you what I've noticed so far. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the Movcan V40 electric bike.